Mr. Anurag Srivastava, Principal Technical Investigator, UI, Assistant Professor, Washington State University. Can we have a huge round of applause for him, please?
All right, so in this session, I'm going to summarize the ISGF, which is a very tough job to do. Especially, Danton, who is program manager of Microgrid. If you know him, he's very energetic, always fresh, and he's overlooking of several different projects. So in DOE, like we heard before, microgrid is, of course, one part of the overall grid modernization program. It is typically focused on two aspects. One is communication and control at system level, grid. And the second one is at grid system and components, which is physical side. And as you can see, that this part, which is distribution system, has microgrid program under that. And then there are program on ADMS and transactive energy, and then also transmission reliability is part of that. At the component level, transformer or a smart transformer and storage is the key areas. So now just focusing on this part, which is a microgrid, under that program. There is vision on that, and then of course objective. And vision is that microgrid program should have a guarantee of energy security to all the customers, which is connected, and especially the critical customers, with resiliency and reliability. And objective is to to achieve that, we have to try out different technologies, find a business case, and then prove that it works, right? So moving on, we already heard a lot about business case and value proposition, right? So that's one of the key thing in DOE2, and it's based on three different aspects. One is local and system resilience, which is we are still trying to figure out how do we give value to that, how do we measure that we are getting value out of resilience. Technology incubator is very important. So all the technology we heard, and the technology will evolve. We'll keep getting advancement in technologies. And how do we provide incubator for that? So DOE has that goal. And new paradigms. So as we develop new technology, we'll also learn and develop a new value for that, which should fit into the existing paradigm of transmission system and distribution system. In R&D program areas, so resiliency is one of the focus, and then of course tools for planning and design, and all the different projects that we heard earlier, and we'll hearing in future. Rest of the session is one of belonging to one of these, right? So operation control tools, planning and design tools, and of course standard guidelines, which will drive a way to adopt those technologies. Application space we talked about, Arindam talked about that business case requires to, for army base, microgrid might be a much more useful compared to some residential house. And this includes all of those, remote island, grid interactive, single and multiple network microgrid, layered microgrid, AC-DC hybrid, and ranging from scale kilowatt to megawatt. Who owns it and what's the market, of course, is very important too. So in terms of timeline, all these four focus area in DOE is in progress. As you can see, resiliency tools, planning and design tools, operational tools, and also standard guidelines. There are some examples listed here. So for example, resilience framework is in progress and will be continued in next year too. LP-NARM is one of the tools for optimization and then also all the problem that happens with mixed integer programming. Urban resilience smart city is in agenda of DOE. In terms of design tool, single microgrid, network microgrid, all those are including controller in operational is important. In terms of program accomplishment of microgrid program within DOE, there are a lot of different things which cannot be summarized in a single slide, but these are some examples. So those are the completed work in terms of report and in terms of some pilot project. 19 is still in progress, and we are kind of releasing some of the tools that was developed as part of the DOE program. You see a lot of different tools listed in the past, like DCAT, and which is a kind of security tool, DRCAM, which came out of Lawrence Berkeley, and these tools are available, and then some are in progress. You can also see that there's several demo projects listed later. DOE is, of course, planning to have a maximum outcome or maximum value out of these. So typically it's done by three things. One is, of course, a lot of planning and coordination. Multi-lab project. So that was recently happened where national lab has to collaborate with others and work on useful outcome, including advanced protection, and network microgrid was part of that. Program review, that happens, a lot of the US folks who are here, they go to those program reviews, and then we talk about the progress made on the different project from the DOE, and that happens twice a year. The stakeholder is a lot. So microgrid program has engagement of a lot of different community. Of course, I am just part of that, being here. Also, there are a lot of report and publication came out of microgrid program, which are listed here. Interest of time, I'll quickly move on to some of the project. You already heard about UA Assist. This is one of the key project of DOE program, especially with India. There's another project called Aggregate, which is actually from modeling group. Oregon is part of that, and then so that other Seattle City and Light. And the whole goal is that how do you use DR to provide value in outage, how you can use DR for restoration. Another project, these are just examples. There are more than 100 projects that we can talk about. This project is in Alaska, and you see a small town which is called Cordova. And the goal here is that, again, kind of clustered microgrid, and using the storage and using different DR technology to provide reliability and resilience. And resilience is very important because Alaska is in wild, and we do have like snow avalanche and different kind of threat in terms of weather. There are a lot of partners involved here. Of course, WSC is also involved. We heard about resilience metric. So resiliency metric is a key part here too, where we are trying to see that given a different option, how do you get to the resiliency measure, and then how do you say that resiliency will improve by doing followings. All right, with that, I'll close this talk. And again, the time, 10 minutes is not enough to describe all the DOE activities, but this was the most effort. Thank you.